Jonathan Brooks, Panthers second-round pick, running back. First running back off the board, right? So the first running back drafted this year out of Texas has been put on the active non-football injury list. What that means is, by the way, non-football injury list, it's a misnomer. He was hurt playing football. It was just not NFL football, so he goes on the non-football injury list. The same way someone would if they tripped in the bathtub.
Maybe got hurt working out in the offseason.
Exactly. Anything away from the facility becomes a non-football injury list. So it's away from his NFL facility, even though we watched it happen at Texas last year during a game. The Panthers have known all along that Jonathan Brooks was hurt at Texas. Like I just said, we watched it, right? If you were watching Texas that week, you saw it. So they definitely saw it. They have known all along that they are not all in for this year. Because if the Panthers were all in for this year, you don't draft the guy that you know isn't going to be ready. Jonathan Brooks, and by the way, I believe Jonathan Brooks is a big part of the future of the Panthers. What does everyone keep telling us that has any say in the offense? They sound like they're from 1953. Run the ball. Run the ball. Run. We're gonna pound the rock. We're gonna run the ball. We're gonna make the defense respect the run. We're gonna run first. We're gonna throw off play action. We're gonna run. We're gonna run. We're gonna run. Well, guess what helps with that? Having the most talented running back in a draft class. Jonathan Brooks brings something to the offense that, as much as we like Chuba Hubbard, as much as you might like or dislike Miles Sanders or Raheem Blackshear or whoever it is, they don't have that, right? Or else they would have been more highly paid. They would have been more highly drafted. They don't have what Jonathan Brooks can bring. So if you have a piece of your offense that is a main component of what you want to do best, right? About what you want to do most, and you're aware, that player isn't going to be ready at the beginning of the year, you're probably not prioritizing winning at the beginning of the year, right? You're making moves that you hope are fortuitous down the way. Part of the reason why Jonathan Brooks wasn't drafted until the Panthers got him in the middle of the second was because of the injury, right? If he was fresh and clean bill of health, he would have been much more likely to be drafted by a contender that wanted to win now earlier than that. So it's actually interesting, right? Because if that move proves to us that the Panthers are not all in, and I'd say all in, chips in the middle of the table to win this year, it does paint some of the other moves they made this offseason in a precarious light. The Deontay Johnson move, which I love. Let's just get out ahead of that. Love it. The motivation behind it becomes a bit more cloudy, right? Because this is the last year of his deal. Essentially, the Panthers got him on a 1-year deal, right? It was more, but they traded for the final year of his contract. Is it a tryout? Is it a, hey, we want to pay you big money, but we want to see you do it wearing our jersey first? Or is it, hey, we're not all in on this year, but we do understand that Bryce needs an interim number 1 wide receiver until we can go get a bigger fish next offseason, or perhaps until Xavier Legette is ready to have that number 1 wide receiver title. So I'm very excited about the Deontay Johnson trade, right? They traded essentially nothing and got a guy that can have 100 catches this year easy. Easy might not be the right word, but very, very plausibly. Possibly.
Very possible. I mean, he had 80-something last year with Kenny Pickett and Mitchell Trubisky.
And
Matt Canada's offense.
And some drama and a whole bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
So I was very excited for it. I become less excited if this is just a stopgap. Not saying you wouldn't make the deal. Of course you still would. The price was right. But it's I want to see if Deontay Johnson is here and they're giving him a legitimate shot to be the number 1. That's what gets me excited. Because then you got a number 1 off the scrap heap. If he's just there because Bryce Young didn't have any guys getting open last year, and until you can actually solve that problem, you're going to put him in place, I don't love that as much. But the Brooks deal, a few other things, really put in perspective that the Panthers are aware at how it will take some magic for this year to be anything but hopefully a step in the right direction, right? They're not leaping and jumping and bounding and skipping in the right direction. They're looking to take like 3 solid steps in the right direction, like a train getting moving.
I think they all acknowledge it's a multi-year rebuild.
Yes.
And I think they understand that too. And you're specifically to Diontae Johnson, it's like, all right, this is like
are you going to be a part of it?
Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's like it's a free scratcher ticket.
Yep.
Either I hit, or if I don't, okay, it didn't cost me anything.
Okay, so let me
It's a free scratcher ticket. It's something you get in the stocking.
So let me ask you this. The Minnesota media, the Vikings media,
okay.
I saw they were having a conversation, and they were asking the question. This wasn't like a report, but they were asking the question. Would the Vikings bring back Adam Thielen if the Panthers cut him? And my thought went to, does the rest of the NFL think Adam Thielen is a cut candidate? Because think about it like this. He's making $10 million a year. You don't save much on this year's cap if you cut him, but you save roughly $7 million on next year's cap. Mm-hmm. You save a little bit less than $2 million on this year's cap. But
it doesn't really do anything for this year.
No, but what it does is he eats up a lot of reps, and because he's a gamer. Like if you're just playing to win, which I think every coach should be, you play Adam Thielen. If they're acknowledging like, hey, we're building our whole offense around a running back that isn't even healthy at the beginning of training camp, and we're building for a future. We recognize it's a multi-year rebuild, and you have the oldest wide receiver in the league by like 26 months or whatever. He's older than every other wide receiver. I don't know if it's a ridiculous question, if it's like a right before training camp casualty to. And I wouldn't be surprised if Adam Thielen might not be asking, like, hey, I might want to go play for a Super Bowl contender and try to check off some legacy stuff here. Because this is a multi-year rebuild. Your actions are acknowledging that it's a multi-year rebuild. Mm-hmm. And I'm not here for a multi-year rebuild. I have 2 years on my contract, and I'm 34, 35 years old.
Yeah, I would say maybe if there was like a team wanted to trade for him, then that's something I would explore. But I don't know if I would just outright cut him because he's Bryce Young's comfort blanket. The last thing you need to do is take away Bryce Young's comfort blanket because everything else is new and different.
Yeah, but
you got to have that one shred of like, okay, he knew I could throw it to that guy, and there's that level of trust. Like, okay, I can throw it to number 19. Adam Thielen, he's going to be there. And then we saw that a ton last year. Don't take away his comfort blanket. Not right now.
I'm going to devil's advocate this bad boy and say I think they want Deontay Johnson to be his blanket. And I don't know if that relationship can develop with Adam Thielen there.
Well, let me play with the new toy before you take away my old one.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair. And maybe it is a situation where they have a conversation with Adam Thielen. It's like, hey, if we're not in it, it's week 6.
No, like a trade, if team wants to have like, hey, we'll give you a 4th for Adam Thielen because he can help us win right now. Why not? I'd explore that, sure.
By the
100%.
way, just to fight fire with fire, I thought about doing a segment and tagging all the Minnesota media being like, would the Panthers sign Justin Jefferson? Like, stop talking about our guys. He's under contract.
Yeah, I know, like...
But obviously, they probably think he's their guy because he was in Minnesota for so long.
Then you shouldn't have let him go then.
Take that.
Sorry, well, you had 2 studs come in anyway.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
Justin Jefferson. It was Zay Flowers. No, Jordan Addison's there, right?
Jordan Addison, who, by the way, might be suspended to start the year.
Well, just slow down a little bit.
Which Adam Thielen might fit that role for a
Maybe
couple
we should
games.
tell the Minnesota media to pump the brakes.
Yeah.